Welcome to the Porsche Club Insider, your one stop for all things Porsche and PCA. Here's your host, Vu Nguyen, and the Insider crew.
Welcome, everyone, to episode 52. We're around the table at PCA's national office. I'm here with Manny Albin. Damon Lowney, Robert Forsyth is on the computers, and we have PCA's advertising director, Ilko Nechev.
Oh, he can't hear him.
I almost gave you a different title.
Oh, yeah, I can't hear him.
Yeah, no kidding.
There he is.
There we go.
There you go. So before we get started, just be sure if you're enjoying the episode, give us a like, a comment, and of course subscribe. If you're watching on YouTube channel, we're doing pretty well there. It seems like we're almost close to 70,000 subscribers. And
Getting there, 68 something, I believe, last time I looked.
Yep. So we're on our way to 100,000. Each and every one of you that are listening and watching can contribute and help us out. Let's see. Hot off the presses, let's talk about the classic Club Coupe. You want to take it?
Oh, you're the one who knew all the news about it.
Yeah, so we're pretty excited. The classic Club Coupe, which we introduced at Amelia Island last year, has gone on a road tour for most of 2022. And as you know, the car was destined to be auctioned. And we are here to announce that on June 10th at the PEC Atlanta, it will finally go to auction at no reserve with Broad Arrow Group.
Yeah, we all get to drive it first, right?
Nope. Nope. Right now, so, moving it around and on its little road trip, not road trip, but road tour last year, it has accumulated a total of 300 miles. So it's pretty much as new.
I got two of those miles.
2 of those miles moving it from like the fairway to wherever. Along with the classic Club Coupe, there'll be probably another 50 or 60 other Porsches that'll be auctioned. Last time we were at PEC Atlanta at a similar auction, that was for Project Gold.
What I liked was how we were all so off in the what we thought they were. We had no confidence.
When are we on?
We had no confidence that they would sell for what they sold for.
Not that we didn't have confidence.
We weren't even close.
It's not that we weren't confident. Sometimes it's just very hard for me to grasp like how much these cars can potentially fetch, just because it's so far from my world, right? Like Sally Carrera, we were totally off with that one. Project Gold, we were totally off with it. And
even during the one they did in Atlanta, just as for fun, we were sitting with Boris and Alex Fabig, and we were going through the catalog,
right?
Just guessing which car as it would come up next, what it would sell for, and we were like, terrible.
We're terrible.
We were underbidding, so at least in the Price is Right, we'd still be in the game. But
I think we always underbid because we hope that it goes that low, that it's potentially within our reach. But man, most of these cars.
So which Project Gold was it? The newer car or the 993 that you were surprised about?
Project Gold was the one that was where they had a leftover chassis, so to speak.
Okay, so it was the older one was Project Gold,
and then they finished the car.
Yeah, gosh,
the 993 that was shown at Rennsport Reunion.
That you couldn't register anywhere.
Yeah. Well, that's what I mean. That's
right.
That's what I thought was. I had forgotten whether Project Gold was the newer car that kind of went along with it, but that 993 you couldn't drive it. So I was thinking, why would you buy a 993?
The one that went along with it was called it wasn't called Project Gold. It was
it was something else.
It was the I know what you're talking about. Yeah. It's sort of the car that you got before the car was exclusive series. But here's the thing. All right, so we're not going to predict numbers because we're just going to embarrass ourselves. But what I want to talk about is really, and I might have PCA goggles or whatever, but the classic Club Coupe to me is more special than, say, Project Gold and or Sally Carrera in a number of ways. One is the 996 that we chose was completely disassembled and redesigned with Porsche Classic, with Grant Larson. It has options on it that has never been available to any other 996. It's was wind tunnel tested. They actually had a second sort of Frankenstein car that they were working on to kind of develop the stuff that
the
was
Museum GT3.
The Museum GT3.
When the Frankenstein.
It's got a brand new GT3 powertrain. It's got brand new GT3. Everything's brand new, right? And it's not just like a pretty, again, not to be disrespectful, but some of the cars out there, are more of a trim and color and da 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 da. The classic Club Coupe is unique in so many ways, and it truly is a one-of-one car. And you can drive it. It's qualified for all 50 states, and the world can bid on it because I think Sally Carrera, only U.S. people, U.S. buyers could buy it. So I mean, I think it's going to.
So you don't have to be a PCA member to bid on this.
For the classic Club Coupe, you do have to be a PCA member.
That's a lot of money coming in. This for a nonprofit.
For a nonprofit, exactly. So you do have to be a member in Broad Arrow Group or PCA. Obviously,
we'll sign them up
we'll
right
sign
then.
You up. I mean, a $46 entry fee to possibly bid on a one-of-one car. I don't think that's much of an issue.
For those listening with nonprofits in the IRS, if you're a member, that's viewed differently income than if you're a non-member. That's why our raffles are only sold to members.
Exactly. It's a whole different sort of business situation when you have non-member income.
So the thing that's going to be tough if you're trying to compare it to Project Gold or Sally Carrera, they both had something in common that we don't have, and they had the charity component.
Right.
So ours is going back into the club.
Right.
We're not a charity.
We're a nonprofit, but not a charity.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how much that detracts some people from bidding who may be looking to write it off. But I agree with you 100% as far as the importance of the car. I was just telling Damon, by the time this comes out, you'll be able to read this online. But my tech tips is talking about how one person will claim be able to have the trilogy of sport classics.
Exactly.
So this is really the prequel to the 997, done with the blessing, if you will, the input of Boris Apperdink, who was the project manager for the original Sport Classic, and the EC wanted to create something that was kind of like the prequel to the Sport Classic with the ducktail, the double bubble roof, but in the 996 generation. So I think from a collector point of view, this car will be very significant. Whoever
and little things you might just say a ducktail was added. Well, to fit a ducktail properly to a 996, I mean, brand new sheet metal had to be done. Talking about a double bubble roof for the classic Club Coupe, somebody could have just simply put a skin on top of a regular roof, but no, the roof that is on the 996 is a true double bubble roof. Oh, and by the way, it's road legal, and they had to jump through so many hoops and such to make sure that this car would be able to come back and be driven in all 50 states and all over the world for that matter. And it's a technological marvel compared to
the color is the same as the debut of the 992 Sport Classic.
Right.
Color.
So it's a blend, right? It's a blend of the original car and the new car. And when we were in the middle of developing this car, we had originally intended for it to be the same color as the original car. But then they said you might want to consider this new sport gray metallic, and they didn't let us know it was called sport gray metallic, but they said there's this gray, there's this metallic, and we kind of guessed that it might be the new sport classic color, which it is. So it bridges so many elements from the original as well to the new car, and of course it has accents of PCA's Club Blau. Tastefully done, might I add.
And we don't know yet if this auction is going to be live streamed.
I don't know about live stream, but I would imagine that it's going to be they have bidders from all over the world, so it's got to be streamed somehow for them to be a part of it, I would think. I don't know if it's like live as in the public will be able to see it, or you have to register and you get a certain feed, but well, we certainly can find out.
If not, we can sit Bogdan on the
yeah and
the balcony.
So I've never really been involved in sort of this level of auction, and there's a lot of details. Obviously, being in the catalog for the auction, trying to paraphrase how significant this car is within a few pages, and then wondering about what order the car will be presented during the day of the auction. The auction is on a Saturday. Does it go at the beginning? Does it go in the middle? Does it go at the end? What car comes before it? What car comes after it? I mean, it truly is, like, I got to give it to the folks at Broad Arrow. It is a true science to make sure that the rhythm of the auction is on point, so that not only our car does well, but all the other cars that they represent does equally as well.
What car are we going to be? We're not going to be the first car auctioned off.
I don't think so.
I want at least 3 or 4 drinks in people before they start.
Well, I mean, again, I think the people. So some people believe they know who's going to build out on the car, right? Like you said, there's people that have 2 of the sport classics, so it would only make sense that if they want to be the only one that has the trio, and there can't be more than a couple, maybe half dozen of people.
The amount of press it's gotten. I remember somebody asked me one time when we were debuting the 60th Club Coupe at Daytona at the 24 Hours, and they asked why are you making such a big deal about this car? They're making 60. He said, I have a car. They've only made 1 of 5, and it was some exclusive edition. And he goes, mine's more rare.
Yeah.
And I told him, I said, well, yeah, but yours doesn't have all this press following it like the 60th has.
Right.
So odds are most people have no idea what your car is compared to the 60th. So this car has the fact that it had so much press coverage.
And there's only one, and there will never be another. And if you want it, this is your opportunity to get it at no reserve.
So obviously I will not have a chance to own this car, but did they ever make a toy version of this, 1/18th or 1/43rd?
We had considered making a 1/43rd scale of the car, but with the timeline of last year and all that was going on, there was never one made.
So we dropped the ball.
No, we didn't drop the ball. We decided not to do it.
I hear the ball. I hear the noise of a ball bouncing.
I would, trust me, if there was an opportunity for us to have either a 1/18th scale or a 1/43rd scale, I definitely would. And it's still not too late to do it.
Yes, I would think anyone out there with mini champs.
Yes.
I would love. I'm sure us collectors would love to see a 1/43rd.
Yeah, let us know in the comments.
Car.
Let us know in the comments. Would you be interested in a classic Club Coupe, either 1/43rd scale or a 1/18th scale? We can make it happen. There's a commitment of a lot size and stuff like that. But yeah, we know
the people at Mini Champs. They can do it for us.
Yeah, we have a 60th.
As long as there's demand for it.
I have the 60th. We don't have. Remember we saw a 50th.
That is my holy grail. So at Atlanta, before they moved over to PEC, they rented an office building, and they on one of the floors, I think, was marketing, and in that they had a 1/18th scale model of the 50th Club Coupe, handmade in a plastic case. And every time we visited, I would tell Paul Greger, I want that model.
When you move, let us know what happens to that. And they moved,
and no one knows what happened. It's sitting in somebody's house right now.
Someone swiped it, and it was not only the car and a little bubble display, but also had like a 50th anniversary sort of like big sign behind. Oh, it was like the perfect display for that car, and it's disappeared. Someday, somebody.
Maybe one of our commenters has seen it on eBay in the past few years.
No, I've looked. I've looked.
Maybe when whoever has it passes away,
right?
and the
comes back,
and the family doesn't know what it is.
I just hope it didn't. One of those things where when people move offices, it just gets tucked in a box, and then people say, "Oh, it's just a toy car," and just chucked it.
I knew people that worked for PCA that took home a lot of stuff that was being thrown away.
Yeah.
And I'd see him at swap meets, particularly the swap meet that Ilko was going to tell us about out in L.A. You'd see stuff that was only stuff that if you were working with Porsche had access.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, when there's times when they just have so much of boxes and boxes and they got to clear things out. I mean, I would have a hard time working at Porsche because all that stuff would somehow end up in my garage because I wouldn't have the heart to throw it in a dumpster. But they got to like drill through things and like take pictures of it going into the dumpster and all that kind of stuff.
Wow.
Yep. All right. So,
can I ask something real quick before we move on?
Sure.
Is there a public location where the the classic Club Coupe would be seen before the auction? Are they bringing it to Amelia Island again, or
yes, it's going to be at Amelia. I think they're going to have
Mm-hmm.
one evening where it's going to be at Porsche of Jacksonville, and then they're going to be bringing it over to the Broad Arrow auction area at the Ritz during the weekend of Amelia Island.
Nice.
So you can definitely.
Well, good. So people can see it. Yeah.
Yep.
Last time.
And I think that's probably going to be the last time people are going to see it, because they're going to bring it back to PEC Atlanta and just kind of tidy everything up and get it in perfect shape.
So it sounds like by the time people hear this podcast, it's already gone.
It's already gone. Yep. Next time you'll see it will be June 10th.
June 10th, that was my other question.
Oh, you know what? I take that back. You might see it for those that have the opportunity or have been invited to go to the Porsche Classic, the new building. Aside from PEC Atlanta, they have like a grand opening the end of March, and I've got to imagine that the Classic Club Coupe will be on display there. So maybe some people will get another glimpse before the auction.
Cool.
But definitely after that, the car goes kind of in lockdown, and they go through it with a fine-tooth comb and get it ready for the auction. All right, Ilko, I know you're going to be talking about your rain and the lit show a little bit later, but any car stuff besides that the last weekend?
Car stuff? Just driving my station wagon. Mostly that, and my Boxster Spider. I'm thinking about whether I should sell it or whether I should put a set of white wheels on it, powder coat the wheel wet.
Oh.
Yeah, you know how I feel about that. So
I know you love white wheels.
Yeah,
and you know how I love not getting rid of things, so I'm definitely going to push you towards getting white wheels.
Sell the Spider with the perfect power to weight ratio, the best suspension from a factory Porsche.
Man. He's not in love with the Spider.
Where have I heard that before?
Yeah. The only thing about his Spider and I know I'm going to get slammed for this because it is a great sounding car, but he has no soundtrack while he's driving. It's just him and the air and the sound of the exhaust. And I get it. I mean, I love the sound of exhaust, but he got no tunes in that car, man. No tunes. He took out the radio and he actually put a box in there so that he can put his wallet. I'm like, come on.
He must be a true car enthusiast.
No. Life should have a soundtrack. When you watch a movie, the movie is better because of the soundtrack. And I get the exhaust can be a soundtrack, but not the only soundtrack.
So I have to give Ilko kudos for doing that, because when I was in my early 20s, I would be all about it, but nowadays I've got to have NPR. So
that is not a reason
the soundtrack of your life.
Yeah. That is not a reason to put a stereo in your car. NPR.
My headphones are good enough.
Well, that's not his daily driver, so I agree with what Ilko's doing. I mean, that's if it was your daily driver, that's one thing, and you had a long commute, but
every car needs to have a stereo.
I disagree with that 100%.
Every car needs to have a stereo.
My 914, I think just one speaker is working now, and it's
all you need. It's all you need, one speaker.
It's a little AM/FM radio that usually came in Volkswagen Beetles. Mm-hmm. I don't need it. I got plenty of sound coming from behind me.
So you don't listen to even the little speaker in your 914 one?
No, I don't.
Oh man.
Yeah. So that's you, Ilko, and Jim. Never have the radio on.
Jim never listens to the radio.
I listen. No, that's not how I said though. In my daily driver.
Oh yeah, you listen.
In my daily driver, I listen to podcasts. It's similar to NPR in the fact that it's not music.
Yeah.
Our marketing director, he never turns the radio on. He listens to the music of the engine every time he drives any of his cars.
I mean, that's cool. That's cool. But man,
yeah, it's devoted.
Like I recently watched a Motley Crue documentary. So lately I've been driving with Motley Crue as my as my symphony, even when I'm driving the Odyssey. Dun 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 dun. Anyways, so how about you, Manny?
I did a regular Cars and Coffee. It was still cold. Still people coming out. Still a few Porsches. And I'm still in the moving all my storage stuff. Which made me think of Ilko, because I'm thinking he's out at the lit meet. And within a couple of years, I'll probably be taking a bunch of my literature. Because, wow, I have literally a ton of literature that I've accumulated over since I was 18. Going to dealers and picking up a brochure or a poster or something, and just putting it in a container. And I was going through it and seeing a lot of stuff that has age.
You've always talked about your collection of items, stored away at the office, the other office that your family office. And I don't really know the size of all of it, right? Somebody drilling or something? Oh no, that's the people doing the yards outside. Anyways, but to see what you brought home that literally filled up his living room.
That was not even 5%.
No way. Oh, really? Yeah. What I saw in the living room was not even 5%?
That was probably like 6 or 7 containers.
Oh my gosh, that's a lot of stuff.
So what was the end goal? We all have the collecting bug, right? But over the years, I've gotten rid of more stuff, all the stuff that I've gained, as family members passed away and all that. And for me, having that much stuff would make me anxious.
You know what? That's cool that you can get rid of stuff. Like, I have a problem.
It wasn't easy. It's not easy. I have magazines I should get rid of, like stacks, but boxes or rooms, I
know. Well, I will say that I have definitely slowed down. Like, I'm not actively collecting or buying as many 1/18 scales. Like, there was a time where, any given week I would buy a collection of 1/18 scale cars, or I'd buy 2 or 3. Every time I'd like travel somewhere, I'd get one or something like that. But now it's like, it's got to be super special or smoking price.
You could treat it as almost like, once you're tired of them or we get old enough, it's kind of extra retirement money. Is that kind of the goal in a sense, or are you going to keep it?
I don't know.
I don't know. Buy stock.
No,
because I can tell you right now, in the collecting world, things change, people's interests change, and you can talk to Beanie Baby people,
right?
Comic book people.
What about people that collect like spoons? Like, they used to travel.
It's the joy of the hunt, then, right? The joy of the hunt, and then enjoying it.
It's I display it. So what got me to start doing this was I didn't want to leave my wife with having to get rid of the stuff, and it's a lot of stuff, and obviously you don't think you're going to die. I know it's going to be a little sooner than it is for other people, so I don't want to leave it with her and have to put that extra burden.
Manny and I have made a pact. So if something happens to me, he's totally got to educate Loanne on what we have. And then if something happens to Manny, I totally have to educate Roxanne on what he has. And really what he has is worth nothing, and it should just all come to me.
Yeah, right? Yeah, that's what you'll say at least.
Just kidding, dude. Just kidding.
I will sell.
Just kidding.
My goal is to sell everything I have in storage, and then display stuff maybe in about 10 years, or 8 years, depending on how things go. I just read a study. I was reading to Roxanne about survival rates, and I'm like, holy crap. It says 15 years, 50% survival rate. And I said, I'm already like 7 years into the 15.
Oh man.
Yeah, talk about... So anyways, I love collecting. I'm not the kind of collector who wants to complete a series or something. If it catches my eye, because it's like art to me. I love looking at my toy cars on display. Literature is kind of cool to look at. It's just hard to display. And you find yourself, oh, this is pretty cool. I'm going to buy this, and then you keep on buying it and buying it, and then suddenly you're like in a situation I am where you have a bunch in containers. And
I've totally stopped on posters. Like, I literally have not a square inch of room to do any posters. If you look at the posters out, like, in my basement and stuff like that, you can tell that I stopped like in 2008. Because unless I take stuff down, which I don't want to do because they're nicely framed, to put something else up, then it's just
The thing I'm a sucker for is anything 914.
Yeah.
So if I see something 914, I'll still buy it.
Yeah.
Toy or some literature I don't have, but luckily they only made the car for 6 years. So there's not a whole wide range of stuff to buy, and there wasn't a whole lot of toys in the big picture that they made. But yeah, it can get out of control pretty quickly.
I mean, again, I still display the stuff because I like it, and I take them out and I look at them, whatever. But I'm not going to be. I've just slowed down a bit. But can we tell them about the upcoming Tech Tactics Live that has to do with
it's a perfect plug-in. Yeah. March 15th, I think.
Or was it March 8th?
Should have put it on the upcoming events. No, 15th.
15th? Okay.
Yeah.
So in upcoming Tech Tactics Live, we're going to have someone that probably collects on an even crazier level than Manny and I, and that's past president Prescott Kelly. And he's got some. He's one of the founders of the Lit Meet, which in the video I think we introduced him. But he's gonna pull out some. He didn't sell everything. You know, we all keep a couple of things behind, and so he's gonna share with us some really cool things that he's collected over the years. And maybe Manny and I will grab a couple of things where we either think it's cool or something that is, everybody can collect.
Actually, I was wrong. It was March 22nd.
March 22nd?
I thought it was the 15th, but it's March 22nd. Yeah. Prescott was the co-founder of the Lit Meet that Ilko was going to talk about. And, I thank God the Lit Meet isn't on the East Coast, because I would spend so much money.
Yes, you will. Yes, you will.
Well, last year, was it last year that I went, Ilko?
You came in last year, and you've been there before once also prior to COVID.
I've got to say, I was very good, right? I don't think I bought anything.
I don't think you can appreciate most of the stuff there. You're not that deep into the history to really
thank
get...
goodness.
I know, right?
Thank goodness, because there is...
I don't think I would make it past the first row.
Parts.
Oh.
Yeah.
A lot especially of really when like the parts. Like I have no use for super early car parts. I don't own a super early car, right? And like brochures.
Says the guy,
he's forgetting he owns a 914.
Says the guy with the 356 engine.
and a 914.
Oh, crap.
That he paid to have rebuilt.
I just walked into that one. Damn you guys.
No, we reminded you do have a reason to buy those things now.
I don't have an early car. I have an early engine and an early hood, but I don't have an early car. There's a little bit of a difference. Anyways, but it's still very cool to see all that stuff, but a lot of it doesn't apply to me, right? So,
well, it'd be really cool is to have someone like Prescott walk around and tell you, because some of the stuff you walk by and don't realize.
Oh yeah,
how rare this is, or the story behind it.
He's like the perfect docent, right, to the Lit Meet, because, like you said, you can't appreciate the art unless you know behind what it's for, and he definitely will walk us through that.
Any swap meet, when you're in person, this is what eBay can't replicate. But even the Hershey/Carlisle swap meet that's coming up in April. When you find a fellow collector and you start geeking out over the smallest thing, you feel like you found someone like a long lost love or something. Like someone can share the same enthusiasm about this thing that if you don't understand it, you don't understand it.
Now that particular meet, that swap meet, I can do some damage there. Yeah, there's definitely stuff that apply to me there. How about you? Anything fun?
It's tough for me to remember what I did last week or the week before with how busy we've been.
He's getting old.
But we did do we filmed the Project 964 suspension install, which was really cool to see. If you're listening to this,
that was actually the last podcast.
It was, yeah. Gosh, was that 2 weeks ago now?
I know. I was going over pictures, David, and I'm like, same way.
Oh, man, it's all jumbling
I know we
together.
talked about this.
Wait, when did we record? It was on the 22nd last week, right? And then we did the suspension on...
No, we did a suspension on Monday.
Oh, my God. I can't even... Wow. Yeah, no, it's getting busy.
But you did get to do the 1 mile review. I don't know what it's called. Was it called a 1 mile review, or is it called a comparison? Or
it'll be a 1 mile review, so I was going to get into that as well, actually, but... on Sunday, I drove a 2022 718 Cayman GT4 and a 2016 Cayman GT4 back to back, and not all of and this is going to be for a 1 mile review. The format's going to change a little bit. So instead of being 30% intro and kind of a brief walk around of the car, and then 70% driving and ratings, it'll be more 50% of the former, 50% of the latter, adding in some market details and historical context of the car. So a little bit longer video. Want to put a little bit more meat onto those videos that hopefully our subscribers and you guys will enjoy. So here's a comparison video. We'll still drive the car for roughly a mile, but it'll be back to back, and you can expect to see both single car 1 mile reviews, a little bit more in depth perhaps kind of 1 mile reviews, and then comparison tests where it makes sense. So I think 718 GT4 versus the first gen GT4 is a pretty legitimate comparison test, because why are they different? On paper they're very similar. They're both naturally aspirated with flat sixes. The power to weight ratio is similar because the weight went up in the later car versus the early. And you really have to drive those cars back to back, which I found out, to really know what you're getting. And first thing I can say is they're almost exactly the same. It's the small details that separate them.
Yeah.
Clutch pedal is a little bit heavier and nicer in the first GT4. The steering is more precise in the 718. There's more mid-range in the 718. But overall, very similar cars. And we want to really delve into these details to help people perhaps choose which one's right for them. So, expect more in-depth 1 mile reviews and comparison 1 mile reviews. And that's what I did on Sunday. So, It was a fun time.
So I know...
Are we planning to... I'm sorry.
No,
just
go ahead.
Wondering if we're planning to keep doing those weekly, or since they're more...
Next thing I should say is if you notice there wasn't a 1 mile review on Saturday, this past Saturday, that's because it'll be bi-weekly at this point, because there'll be more in-depth, a bit longer videos with better videography. So the next one will actually be not the most exciting car, but a good car to start out with and try the new format out, and that'll be a 2023 Cayenne, it's a 22 Cayenne Platinum Edition. So not the most exciting car, but one that I think a lot of our members could potentially enjoy as a daily driver. So then next one after that will be on the 25th of March. So bi-weekly from now on out.
All right. I know you had some cold weather in SoCal, Ilko, but here in Maryland on Saturday, we got a little stretch of warm weather, about 50, 55 degrees we hit. So for me, it was dragging my youngest out to the garage, and we did the oil change in the Cayenne as well as the Odyssey. And although that photo looks like he's happy there, but waking him up, he wasn't so happy about.
That photo says, "Wait until you're an old man, Dad."
Yeah,
cheapest nursing home I can find.
No, he once his he's all warmed up, he actually does have a lot of fun getting his hands dirty. So we did that.
You guys are getting some weather though now, right? At least I saw New York is getting some snow.
Raining and kind of cold.
We're used to the rain, though. That's nothing big to us.
This has been a really, really warm, not snowy winter. This is the warmest winter in the past 9 years I've lived here.
Yeah,
pretty sure.
I'm not complaining.
Yeah.
I'm not complaining. It's been raining, but it's not nearly as cold as it should be.
Yeah.
All right, so let's jump right into the lit meat.
All right. So we released a video about a month ago on last year's event where Vu had his Botox lips for everyone to see.
You're gonna go there. It was an allergic reaction, people.
When in LA. So
is that a Botox stomach or is that...
It's terrible.
I could take that one a little further, but I don't think we are.
That's terrible.
There will be a lot of editing on this episode.
I know, exactly.
So the Lit Meets, it's actually called the LA Lit and Toy Show. It's Prescott Kelly and a few of his buddies started it many years ago, and they decided to take it to Chicago in February. And it didn't work out there, so then they moved it to Los Angeles and the Hilton Hotel by LAX, which was really just a show for people to bring whatever old stuff they had on cars that they were not using, or just toys and booklets, etc. And it grew into a whole long weekend, which starts on Thursday. And the photos that you see here are from the first event of the weekend. It's at the Sierra Madre Collection in Pasadena. They put together a great event with usually over 100 cars on display, and raffle prizes, DJ, foods, vendors, etc. But this year, as you can see, the weather did not cooperate. So we had fewer cars showed up, but just as much enthusiasm that people showed by coming in. And on one of the earlier photos, you would see a Boxster Spider that does not have its rear apron. So the owner decided not to fully insulate the car from the elements. So it starts at the Sierra Madre Collection on Thursday morning. They also have a few other shops open on Thursday. But this year, I ended up going with Charles Navarro and Steven from Ellen Engineering. They both grew up in that area, actually, even though they live in Chicago now. So we ended up going to this really nice hole-in-the-wall Lebanese restaurant called the Sahara, just down the street. And you've been there.
Oh, yeah.
So
good stuff.
We did that, and there was another shop that was open, but it was all the way down in Orange County, which the traffic was really bad heading down in that direction, especially with the rain. I mean, literally that morning, I was there around 10 o'clock, 10:30, and the skies opened up, and it was hail. It wasn't even rain; it was hail coming from the sky, and the mountain right above Pasadena was covered in snow. I mean, literally the line was much lower than I've ever seen it. It was very cold too. So, yes, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say in California, I lived there most of my youth, over the summers and holidays. And when there's any bit of moisture on those freeways and they're not used to having to worry about tread depth on their tires,
right?
And if there's any sort of moisture on the freeways, it just creates havoc.
Well, the big thing is it rains so little that when it does get wet for that first hour or so, it's super, super, super slick.
I know. I see a lot of cars that have no wipers on them, which I was always been jealous about. But knowing that they don't get much rain, I can understand why.
I grew up in San Diego, and I remember it hailing. I think it was my junior or senior year of high school. Once, and it covered the grass in the field out there. So it's once in the whole time I lived out there.
So did you see anything? So I think Tony Callis' shop, was it open this year as well?
Yes, so that's on Friday, and for the most part, all the shops are open on the same day every year. And I apologize for not taking detailed photos this time because I had been to several of these events in the past, and in better weather, there is a picture of Tony right there.
Okay, yep. In
the background. In better weather, I would take more pictures, and this is Pelican Parts. Nice. But it was for me, it was just an event to go to and visit with clients and visit with friends. But I didn't expect to be on the podcast, obviously, because Manny texted me on Saturday morning saying, "Hey, are you at the Lit Meet?" And I said, "Well, who wants to know?" Because usually I'm with a phone bidder named Vu, who's looking for pillows or other things.
Oh, look at that 964. There's a picture of a Ruby Stone. 964
that's a wrap.
That's a wrap. That's beautiful. With
white
wheels,
but the white wheels.
That's why you took a photo of it. Now, for those of you that don't know, not only are the shops open, but folks that are signed up for the Lit Meet, there's a bus, right? There's a bus that you can take around and drop you off at all of these different shops that are open. So it's not like
all the shops, they have their own schedule.
Yeah,
they have their own schedule for the weekend, and so Stoddard actually purchased the Lit Meet a few years ago, and they've done a great job as a steward of the event. They work with the shops on their schedules so they are all lined up. They organize the bus tours, as you said, to different shops. They start on Thursday, and then Friday and Saturday, and even on Sunday they put them together. They also offer discounted hotel rates. So it's not something to do only if you live in LA, but if you wanted to come from out of town and spend a weekend in usually sunny California in February, it's a great way to do it. And as a matter of fact, I saw some of our friends from the Connecticut Valley region, Rob and his son Mike had come over. It was a birthday gift for Rob from Mike and his mom for the event. So they took a bus and they had a great time. Tom Pravasi, our Works Reunion chair, he was on one of the bus tours. It was his first time at the Lit Meet, and what a big Porsche fan and how long Tom has been in PCA. So they took the bus and they had a great time. But a lot of the shops are open. So Thursday was Sierra Madre, Friday was Callis Rennsport. Then we went to Pelican Parts, who have a great facility with Wayne's garage is open. You can see all the 962s. You can see the some of the other cars that he has on display, 356s, 914s. We then went to John Wilhoit's shop, who is a famous restorer of 356s. He had a number of cars on display as well as new parts that they developed for the 356s. Auto Kennel was another place that we went to. That's where the picture of the car with the white wheels was. And Auto Kennel is it's dear to my heart because Paul from Auto Kennel sold me my first 944 Turbo when I was new into Porsche, and it was the first Porsche that I bought from him almost 20 years ago.
So I see that there was a photo that just flashed Jeff Zwart. Now I'm
yes.
sort of happy and I'm sort of sad because last year Jeff Zwart had a wind tunnel model. And
did not have a wind tunnel model now.
And I was like 2 steps too far. And Sean Cridlin actually bought it.
Oh,
within 2 steps of me getting to it. And I'm sad and happy because I'm sad I didn't get it, but I'm happy I didn't fork over the money for a wind tunnel.
For it?
I mean, I think
Jeff is very reasonable.
He's very reasonable. I won't say the price, but I will say.
I'll say the price. What's reasonable? I have no idea what a wind tunnel model would go for.
How much would you?
What car was it?
It was the 962.
And was it a true factory museum?
It was almost the size of this coffee table.
When you say wind tunnel, are you sure it was actually? Was it in the wind tunnel of Weissach, or was it just a model?
I think it was just a model.
That changes everything.
That's true. But I mean, it was not one of those wooden wind tunnel models. It was one of those plastic or fiberglass ones.
I would say because of LA Lit Show tax, probably like 4,000.
That's what I thought it should be, but I think he let it go for like just over 1,000.
Wow,
I know, right?
Boy, you got to start exercising more.
Now he's encouraging me. Now he's encouraging me. Yeah, I think so. I mean, yeah, it was a price where I was just like, but it's all right. That's all right. Anyway, sorry to interrupt, but I just
no worries. So as I was saying, the shops are open Thursday and Friday. On Saturday morning, the main event is the actual lit meet at the LAX Hilton in the ballroom, where, as you saw the photos of different memorabilia, books, models, etc. I even bought something.
What'd you buy? Oh,
yeah.
I think I had that.
I think I have that too.
I think I know who you bought that from, and I know he does that for a living.
Exactly. He does that for a living, and he lives locally. And I was 90% sure that I had one at home, but I wanted. It looks so nice. I didn't mind owning it twice.
Did you have one?
Wait, hold on.
When I got home, I did not.
Oh, that's good.
Because not everyone's watching the pictures, we got to describe what you held up.
Oh, of course, yes. It's the booklet for the 997 GT3 RS 4.0.
The hardback booklet.
The hardback.
Yes, the hardback booklet. It's a really
a
special.
For one of the best cars. The car Ilko wishes he had.
Everybody wishes they had.
Yeah,
this
me
one.
too.
Everybody wishes they had.
Wishes,
Exactly.
That's the GOAT right there.
Yeah.
There. And that's what I ended up at after the lit meets with a croissant.
You got away pretty easy, because there's a lot to potentially buy. So you went home with a book, not bad.
And yes, and this is a picture of Bruce Schwartz, who's the CEO of Stoddard. They are the ones who organized the event. After Manny texted me, I started taking pictures. As you can see, there are a lot of pictures of parts at the lit meet. So after he texted me, I was like, okay, well, I better start preparing for this thing.
Yeah, I forgot the lit show was this past weekend, and I started seeing pictures on my social media, and I was like, wow, it is this weekend. And then I said, you have to be going to this.
And it's also a great place to see the who's who in Porsche, either at the shops or they're, I just saw John Wilhoit in the background. You see Jeff Ford.
Yeah, he's there walking.
Yeah, you see all these people that, big names in the Porsche world that, they're true enthusiasts coming to see all the knickknacks.
We have a podcast table there?
We probably could. The problem is just timing and travel.
Busy.
I'm always available. In the middle of February in Maryland.
You will not find Manny at the podcast.
I know. He'd be like, shopping. What podcast? He'd be shopping.
That's called remote broadcasting.
Yeah,
so the year I went, it had to be over, I'm going to say 25 years ago maybe. But what I remember was Jerry Seinfeld had just purchased that Speedster that was really ragged out looking. And he paid like top dollar, but it was all original. It was a driver, but he had parked it in the front of the Hilton. So everyone who saw it walked by it. And I remember people were just scratching their heads saying, how could he spend this much money, which is like nothing now when you look back on it, on this car that everyone could not understand why he bought this car and paid so much money for it. Of course, now we look back and we realize
he's a genius.
He's a genius because this is before the word patina became popular. But I just remember that and the fact that there wasn't anything cheap at the lit meet. But like Ilko pointed out, it was very rare things I had never seen before. So I would tell people, if you're looking to get things really inexpensive, that you're not going to find it there. But if you're looking to find something that you've never seen before or you only read about, this is where you're going to find it.
When you went, was it one ballroom or two ballrooms?
I can't remember. Nothing near the size. It's probably like at least half the size of what it is now. Yeah. But what I do remember, what I would love to get into, the real serious collectors meet the day before or the night before, and they do it in hotel rooms within the Hilton. And it's just like you would imagine. They show up with briefcases and everything. You would think they're dealing cocaine with John DeLorean or something. They're opening these briefcases, and huddling through, and that all the major deals are done the day before in person, but behind closed doors.
And what I've heard is people choose to become a vendor so that they can show up for setup.
Well, you can pay an early bird entry fee.
That's even before that.
Yes.
Yeah. Even before that.
Even before. Because you start setting up at 5.
If you go as a vendor, you set up at 5 and put the two things that you're selling, and then you get to walk the floor while other people are setting up.
I mean, that's pretty much with any swap meet, especially outdoor ones. The real serious people get there at before dawn and are picking through things as people are literally taking it out of their truck or their SUV. And then they usually take it and resell it somewhere else in the swap meet. Later on in the day.
Well, we've held a couple of our garage sales, and when you put it in the paper, so many times people show up to your house the day before. And we're like, the garage sale is tomorrow on Saturday. They're like, oh, no, we just wanted to just take a look at the inventory and see if there's anything. I'm like, man, y'all are some serious shoppers to go out to the address the day before. But, yeah, I mean, if you're looking to, score something super rare or get a good deal, I mean, yeah, there's some serious shoppers out there.
Hate to be macabre,
but it's not always.
You find out when a collector's died.
Oh.
Hit their trash can the week after.
So Ilko, transition if you don't mind, because you've helped out with this too. Is we got to do some fun things with Project 964. Last podcast we talked about the KW suspension, which went on quite smoothly thanks to the folks at TPC.
Despite us being there.
I think he let me take the wheels off, and that was about it. He's like, move aside and let me do my thing.
The look he had for Vu when Vu showed up in his overalls, all pretty and everything.
And I have my gloves on and everything. He's like, dude, I've tried gloves, and I'm not wearing gloves anymore. Grease is just embedded forever. Yep. But that all of that went in. It's amazing how much and we talked about it on the last one too, is how much just ride height transforms the look of the car. But then Manny proceeded on to the next couple of pieces for the Project 964, and that was putting in the Recaro seats, the front seats, and then Ilko sent over because he had the rear seats made with matching material. And did we find the material?
Who was that, Ilko, that donated the rear seats? We wanted to keep the original seats original, so we kept those.
Right. So the rear seats were donated to us by Autobahn Dismantler.
Okay.
Oh,
And
nice.
they are the company that Singer sends all the leftover parts from the 964s that they reimagine.
Oh, wow.
So Autobahn, that's the one in El Cajon or San
That's the
Diego,
one in
right?
El Cajon.
That's
Yeah,
where I
it's in
sold
El
my
Cajon.
944 S2, and somebody got a running, driving, perfectly mechanically healthy S2 for like
Yeah,
$3,500.
they've been around
I
Wow.
for a
had to
long
sell it.
time.
Yeah.
They gave me a tour of the facility, and actually, I sent some photos to Robert. I don't know if he'll be able to show them, but there's so many 964 parts there. They said that they had at least 140 cars worth of parts,
Wow.
Well, if you haven't seen it
and
yet, Top Gear just released a video. You can find it on YouTube of
right,
the Singer assembly building. And what you just said, I didn't realize it was Autobahn that did this, but wow. Um, how to recondition the parts is just breathtaking.
Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. It's amazing, and I feel at the same. I have mixed feelings about it because you see these cars, and I looked at the parts. I looked at the bumpers. I looked at the fenders. I looked at the interior pieces, and they're good cars
Yeah.
that were
Taken apart for you.
disassembled. And yeah, so in the video that Manny referred to, they say that they are limiting the production to 450 cars, but I don't know. I mean, it's
Yeah, you're torn
yeah, like I
because
said, I have mixed feelings about
yeah,
May
this.
it's
yeah.
one less stock original 964 on the planet.
In one of the years the 964 was produced, or I should say sold in the U.S., isn't 450 like more than half of one of the model years sold in the U.S.? Like,
It would
wasn't
probably be 94 maybe or
90
94
one
Yeah,
of the later
94 had
models?
very
the
few
lowest, yeah.
cars sold. Yeah.
But it's still, I mean, in the scheme of things, how what compared to today, yes, production is very, very low. But we're not talking about 10 or 100 or even 100 cars they made. They made more than that. I refuse to believe that Singer is affecting the price of 964s because, like Ilko said, it's 400 of them. It's not like they wiped out the entire 964 inventory any more than Gunter Works is wiping out the 993
right.
inventory. It's just that
True.
Porsche didn't make a whole lot because they couldn't sell them. They were so expensive
Hmm.
because of the exchange rate and the economy. So, but still, if you haven't seen the video, it's worth watching. It's really incredible how much they've invested into this assembly plant and how once again how they recondition these parts. It's gives me hope because if you need trailing arms or something, hopefully that'll make it down to the secondary market.
Yeah, Damon, you should put that video in today's e-break news.
Yeah, for sure.
The
I should
Singer
make a
video.
note just so I don't forget.
So once we got the seats in, the next thing we were waiting for were the beautiful bronze. What's the official color? HRE wheels that were to go on the car.
Frozen champagne.
Frozen shampoo. Ooh, it's fancy.
And I gotta say, I was sweating out because we got the tires in from Pirelli, and you know how they look huge
Yeah.
when you're holding them in your hands, and I'm going, wow, these are never gonna fit in my car in the car, even though they're the same size I used in my track car for 964. I was like, wow, in the
They
track
look
car they were
huge.
so tight. I remember, but I didn't have the exact right offsets on my track car. I had to use spacers, so you couldn't even put a credit card between the fender and the tire. That's how close, but it never rubbed. But I was very nervous about this, and so when we got him back from having him mounted, we rolled the car and there was no rubbing. So it was
Yeah,
like,
it fit
thank God.
perfectly. But
We haven't tried turning the car yet.
Yeah. So before you go on about that, so I took Bogdan with me to Benchmark Motors because I thought it'd be a learning opportunity for him. He's never really watched a wheel and tire being mounted.
He thinks the tires are born on wheels. Is that what-
I mean, his eyes were just wide open. And what I told him was, you can buy the best tires and best wheels, and one, if you don't have someone that takes care of mounting them, like you can scratch them up and do this, that, and the other. But if you don't have someone that has the right equipment or has the know-how to properly mount a tire, you can buy a great tire, and if it's not mounted right, it could ride terrible. And shout out to Danny at Benchmark. They have the Road Force mounting system, and just picking up the rim, throwing on the things that fasten the wheel down. Like, he took extra care. He wiped things off. He marked the some tires have certain positions that it needs to be on the wheel. Some people don't even replace valve stems. In this case, of course, we installed new valve stems, but when he does it, he always replaces valve stems. If there's any sort of oxidation where the tire bead sits on, he grinds that down. Like, people just think, oh, a $7 mounting job at whatever gas station is the same. It really isn't. If you have nice wheels, nice tires, hopefully you have someone nearby you that can treat them with kid gloves and have the know-how to properly mount them, because it makes all the difference in the world. And Bogdan, him watching all that happen, he was like, wow. And then how to place the wheel weights. Like, some people just peel the tape and throw the wheel weight onto the wheel. Nope, you don't do that. If you want it to fit to the curvature of the wheel, you kind of have to like break the little weights a little bit, so that way they bend more and then they take on the curve of the wheel. So it's just little details like that I wanted him to see, and he did some social media takes for it. So hopefully you'll see some of that stuff soon. And by the way, congratulations to Bogdan, because we've had our first PCA Instagram post that crested over 1 million views.
Yeah, I was a cinematographer for that.
You were. You should get cinematography credits for it. So congratulations to him.
Which one is that?
It's the
bathroom one.
It's the bathroom one, and it sounds funny because we're talking about Manny videoing Bogdan in the bathroom, but it's not like that.
Just the way you said it. Why would you think that?
But it's funny, and the whole Instagram world. I am first to tell you that I'm not in tune with all of the trends, but he is, and he's studying it, and he's choosing things based on other data, so on and so forth. But it's basically a video where he's washing his hands, his phone is next to the sink, and when water splashes on the screen just kind of goes crazy, and it does all this Porsche stuff, and accidentally buys a car or something like that. And I thought it was cool, but did I think it was going to be 1 million views cool? Nope. And quickly behind that is one of my favorites is the Breaking Bad Instagram post. I think that one's close to 850,000 views now. So big things on PCA's Instagram page if you haven't checked it out. And if you're not on Instagram, there's a lot less noise on Instagram. If you just look like cool pictures and cool reels and stuff like that, I encourage you to check that out. All right. Let's see. You want to talk about upcoming videos, Damon?
Yeah. So by the time you listen to this, we'll have a video out. It's being published today on Tuesday, actually, of a local member who dropped off his 1968 911L and is having his Porsche dealership that he uses, Porsche Hunt Valley, sell it, and he picked up a brand new Sport Classic and drove it home. So it's just a little short piece, just over 6 minutes, that details why Jim is in the club, what he enjoys about his Porsches and what made him think, I'm going to trade this early 911, super nice, nice to drive, it looks like, and he drove it a lot, for a brand new 911. So pretty cool video. And just so you all know, it's not... the 911L was not the only air-cooled Porsche that he has, so it's not the only one. He's not getting rid of his air-cooled Porsche for a new 911. It's just part of a small collection. But a really cool video, really cool guy, and you'll see him, I believe, with he's not driving the Sport Classic, I don't think, this time. He's driving there's a 911 Turbo, an early 77. So if you're at Works, I believe it's that green one. Many might know the color.
Jim
better.
Oh, it's
that light green.
Well, no, I thought he was bringing the Glacier Blue one.
Or Glacier Blue, that is. Yep. So I'm thinking of the wrong turbo then. Yep. So Glacier Blue turbo.
He's bringing an early 911 long hood. Mm-hmm. Yeah. What's the one? Now you're making me think. What's the one that the green turbo. He brought that before the works.
Yeah,
he actually drove it down the works and back again.
Yeah, he's driving that Glacier Blue turbo down right now, actually.
So. No, it's being transported.
It's being transported.
Yes,
okay.
It hits the spot that our 964 was supposed to be on.
Oh, I see.
Which is why Boo and Manny are doing the road trip on.
We're Thelma and Louising with the 964 behind us.
Nice. So, yeah, we have that. And as I noted earlier, you'll have noticed there was no 1 mile review on Saturday. That's because we are now at a bi-weekly format. So Cayenne Platinum Edition 2022 model will be March 11th. Soon after, we have 718 GT4 versus the first-gen GT4. That'll be on March 25th. We're actually filming a couple 1 mile reviews, and this will probably turn out to be a comparison 1 mile review again with Gurney Eagle and his 718 and another member 718. One's a Boxer GTS 4.0, one's a Cayman S. So it'll be interesting to see what the flat 4 turbocharged car feels like compared to the 4-liter naturally aspirated car.
Cool. Yeah. And you dropped GT3 RS and the diesel videos.
Yes, and the diesel videos, or I should say diesel 1 mile reviews on Saturday, which is out as you are. So that would have been Saturday the 25th of, or 18th of, gosh, I'm getting all mixed up here. Saturday the 25th of February, we dropped the Cayenne Diesel 1 mile review. And I know it's not the most exciting car, but it's nice to know that Porsche makes great daily drivers. And you can always drive a Porsche around year-round, in the city, in the country, but a diesel will get you better gas mileage. You can tow your race car, or if you have a race car, it's a great vehicle. It's owned by a longtime PCA member. Check it out. It's his favorite car that he owns right now.
It's kind of sad, though, because it's the last of its kind.
It's the last of its kind, so he better hold on to that.
Yeah. And then the video with Michael Tam was dropped last week, right?
Yep. That was on Tuesday. I keep forgetting. Well, we must have covered that in our last podcast, right? Because we've recorded it on Wednesday. But, yeah, we dropped a GT3 RS video where we went under it at Tech Tactics East. And
why was there so much hate for Michael on some of the comments on that video where
he used we, as in, he works for Porsche. He's talking about what Porsche the company has done to make that car. But Come on, give him a break.
He absolutely should be using we, because what he does is he studies the U.S. market and things that we ask for. He's literally the guy that goes back to AG and say, hey, can we do this? So when he uses we, he's using it absolutely appropriately. So
it's not just the engineers who bring cars to market. Yeah. It's the whole company. It's the marketing side. Michael Tam happens to be a mechanical engineer, but he had a calling for the PR side.
So our past president is an engineer, Tom, and he will tell you that when he goes to trade shows, the company sends, if you will, a Michael Tam with him, so they can explain in layman's terms what the company does, because if Tom explains it only, another engineer may understand.
But your eyes will glaze over if you're not.
The person who's doing purchasing may not.
Right.
And so I think Michael Tam, who's an engineer himself, is very good at giving us the cool tidbits about the car that we may not have seen or read about yet. And I was surprised to see people asking, like, who is he and why is he doing this?
And maybe it's sometimes when he's addressing folks that maybe more of his engineering side comes out of it and people aren't prepared to get sort of that answer. But I don't know. I mean, we've known him for a long time, and
we specifically requested him to come.
He is one of the biggest enthusiasts that I know.
Yeah.
He will, he'll get a competitor's car and do tests, 25 times just to compare it to Porsche. And, he carries the message from the market here back to AG. He does so much for PCA and for the brand. He can use we all day long.
I'll put it in perspective. At the LA Auto Show, I remember telling Damon, I'm like, let's wait till tomorrow to see him, because Michael Tam's supposed to show up.
Yeah.
We'll do the video with him, because the people they had were marketing people. And I could hear their responses to questions and whatnot. And I said, you know what, Michael's going to have, I just know it, he's going to have the tidbits, which he did, that people are going to enjoy about the car, the technical side. And, that's why we asked for Michael. So if you see something with Michael Tam, be happy that we got him.
Right. It's nothing worse than interviewing someone that just simply studied the brochure or the press release. Michael Tam knows way more than that. So again, thank you, Michael, for spending your weekend with us and giving us insight. A lot of the stuff that you shared on that video was stuff that you've never heard before.
Yep.
We're gonna have to move it along because I got a call in like 4 minutes with AG. By the way,
we can finish.
You guys can finish. You can finish it. I'm gonna leave. So you guys finish it. Take off with the news.
All right, don't say anything yet. Let's wait till he's out of the room.
Yes.
All right,
and we're going to talk about Project 964 and insurance.
our plan to drive the cars PCA's auctioning off.
Yeah, exactly. So let's see. For news, there wasn't a whole lot. Do you ski, Ilko? I think you ski, right?
I do ski.
Did you see this? The collaboration they have with Head, which is I'm not a skier, so but I thought this was pretty cool.
I saw it. It's pretty cool. They don't mention prices.
Of course not.
So I don't know how I feel about buying a set of skis that.
So here's my question again. It came up last week, but when is Porsche getting into the bobsled market, like BMW?
That would be awesome.
Yeah, they're just Olympics. Like towing around on skis and now surfboards, but no bobsled.
Well, maybe the market is not big enough.
Maybe you're right, Ilko.
Well, forget the market. I wanted the Olympics.
Yeah, exactly.
To see them Porsche design
Porsche
bobsled.
versus BMW at the Olympics.
Yes,
that would be amazing.
Would be, very cool.
Porsche, since Formula One didn't work out, let's try the Olympics next.
Hey, it's got to be cheaper. It's got to be much cheaper than Formula One. Speaking of which, hopefully everyone's watching the new season of Drive to Survive. I have conditioned myself to watch one episode per night because normally I'm up to like 4 a.m. watching the whole season. Have you started watching it, Ilko?
I finished it.
No, actually, I have not even. I don't even plan to watch it. I'm excited for the season.
Oh, you should.
It's very big of a fan as anyone, but
so
I don't know.
Here's my take on it, Ilko. You don't have to watch it now. So I've always been into Formula One from a sort of fringe level, but I started paying more attention to it after the first 2 or 3 seasons of Drive to Survive. Like I'm one of those people. But now that I've paid a lot closer attention to the 2022 season, I still don't watch the races. I don't have access to those races, but I watch all the YouTube recaps and highlights and read the news. You don't really learn much new.
They're on ESPN.
I don't have ESPN.
Oh wow!
I don't have cable. So
hey guys, we can do this on Saturday nights at Amelia Island because I have F1 TV Pro on my computer. You come in and we can watch the qualifying because that's going to be the first real test.
Well, the best part of Drive to Survive that I like is what happens with all the silly season and the driver changes and where everyone goes, but you hear the conversations. And, of course, they know the cameras are running, but you hear these very frank conversations about these drivers, how if they don't perform, they're going to make changes. And I would imagine there's got to be a certain cringe factor from both sides, the management and the driver, hearing from the driver, hearing them talk about, if you're a driver, you get to hear people talk about you after the fact of, how they made their choices to go somewhere else. And they have the whole Oscar Piastri saga going on, and it's from that part, it's a little bit soap opera-ish, but it's still very fascinating.
Yeah, that's.
I saw the exchange that they had, the team principals, when Toto Wolff and Christian Horner started yelling at each other.
That I haven't gotten to yet. Yeah, I just finished with AlphaTauri that season.
I just saw a clip online, and it looked so much like the Real Housewives type of show that it kind of turned me off.
It's starting to feel like that compared to the earlier seasons.
You guys don't realize the drought there was with Formula One and getting any kind of information. I remember there used to be you have to go to Washington D.C. to a bar at 8 a.m. to be able to watch an F1 race because it just wasn't anywhere on TV. Well, otherwise you read about it like 3 weeks later in paper or magazine. So I'll take anything I can get when it comes to F1, even if it's the Housewives of F1, which I would watch.
I know. But the thing is, they're really good podcasts now that you can watch, that you can listen to on with real journalists who actually know what's going on. and it's not put on for show for Netflix.
I like Will Buxton telling me the obvious. That's part of the charm.
Well, think about this. To get Red Bull and Max Verstappen and Checo and all that. I mean, Christian Horner has always been, he's game for talking about his team and drivers on Drive to Survive. But Max Verstappen didn't want to until Max was able to tell his story on his terms, which this last season 5, it's not quite as edgy and raw as it was in the past, because you can tell that you've got the more hands in the bucket. It's not as journalistic, shall we say.
I mean, I don't believe for a minute that it's like the cameras are running and there's nothing they can do about it.
Yeah.
But still, it's, once again, it gives you unprecedented access for F1. For NASCAR, not such a big deal. For IMSA, not such a big deal. But for F1, that was so tightly, monitored. This is still pretty impressive.
Yeah.
All right, so on to, speaking of racing, we got to see Jim Hemmick, the #1 Formula E fan that I know of.
The only one that I know of.
I was going to say.
But he's bringing more people in the office, so he hooked up the projector yesterday at lunch, and we got to see the highlights of the race of Porsche, who's doing very well this year. And was it Sam DaCosta? Who won... with a pretty amazing pass at the end there. And so it's a little confusing if you're not sure when you're watching it first, because there's zones where they can get extra boost, extra power, or extra, battery.
Yeah, you go offline, and you have to go all the way offline onto this, looks like a painted pad.
It's almost like real-life Mario Kart.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a boost area, so you go out, and you have to do it, I think, twice per race, if what Jim was saying, if I remember correctly. So you have to go offline, but you get a power boost. And I believe DaCosta went offline to get onto that power boost pad, but he didn't have all 4 wheels on it.
Yeah, and so it didn't register.
Yeah, so he made the pass, I think, or he was in front already. He didn't go all the way onto that boost pad. Then when he went to go boost, it wouldn't happen, and he had to do it again. In the meantime, he was passed, and then he passed that leader again to take the race. It was thrilling race.
Yeah, so if you haven't watched it, you can YouTube it. It's a I will give Formula E this much. They do have exciting races, and they're very close. Plus, you can see how much battery is left in each car, and you're watching. These things are finishing with 0% or 1% battery life.
They must be coasting across the line, right?
Yeah, the same stress I have with my phone when it gets down to 1%. I can imagine what the drivers must be going through. So, hey, at least Porsche is doing very well with their Formula E this year. The other thing with the racing that was just announced was that Porsche is going to field a 3rd car for the 24 Hours of Le Mans. Now, for those who are having trouble keeping track, which I can understand, Penske is fielding a team in Europe that runs the WEC, and they field a team in North America, which runs IMSA. Now, these are 2 different teams that are running 2 different sets of drivers. The cars look identical. The cars really are identical, but they're 2 different teams. We're going to see them together, at least together at the same racetrack at the Super Sebring event, which they run Friday, the WEC for 1,000 miles, or I think 8 hours. And then on Saturday, IMSA runs the 12 hours of Sebring with the North American team. But for Le Mans, they've added a 3rd car, and the 3rd car is going to be the North American team. So far, they've only announced that Felipe Nasser will be driving, and they said the other two drivers will be announced. So I would imagine they're going to look at the performance of the other 2 North American team drivers and see who qualifies. Hopefully Nick Tandy. He's always been a favorite of mine, and he's a former Le Mans winner. Yeah. But they have a they are I think going to go all out, just like they did at 919, because they want to win Porsche's 20th overall Le Mans on their 75th anniversary.
Yeah, they're pulling out all the stops, sounds like.
Yeah, so it's going to be a fun race to watch this coming June. And
hopefully they get their reliability in order by then, because what we saw in Daytona was not good.
No, and this was something when I did a little article about the testing. That was their main concern. That was a big theme during testing, was reliability. And that's just for Porsche, but for all the teams. There was a great unknown when it came to the hybrid drivetrain and software. And we saw a little bit about that when during the race when Felipe Nasser's car just shut off.
Yeah.
and unfortunately they were able to control alternate delete, for lack of a better term, and get it restarted. But it was still, it's not a mechanical issue. It's like software. I mean, there are mechanical issues that happen during a race, but yeah, this is going to be and you would think, I think they say 12 hours at Sebring is equivalent to 24 hours anywhere else, because of such a punishing track.
So bumpy,
it is to drive. Yeah, exactly. Turn 17 in itself, I think you skip over like a stone on a pond. But that'll be fun to watch. I'll be down there covering it for Panorama, so I'm excited. Hopefully it'll be nice and dry.
Is are Cadillac and Acura going to Le Mans?
Cadillac is. I haven't seen anything about Acura, but yes, Cadillac is. And Cadillac's also running, I believe, at the Sebring 1,000 mile race.
1,000 kilometer?
Yeah. Is it kilometers or miles?
I think it's kilometers.
Kilometers, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so the last thing was Porsche has updated their Roads app, which is a way you can find fun roads to drive. You can actually put your parameters of what you're looking for a road, and of course it's user based. So the more input they get, the better the roads they can find. So have you used this, Ilko? I have not used this yet.
I have. I actually have the app, and I've used it for several years now. We have a relationship with the people who produce the app at Porsche AG. And they've advertised it with us for several years now, and this is a big step for them. They made a huge improvement on the app last year, and this is another big step for them. And I didn't know about the news on the app, but since I've been using it, I've created several roads over the not just in the San Diego area, but when I lived in New York, I had created some routes there, and the tail of the dragon when I went down there. So this past few days, I've been getting these notifications on my phone that somebody liked my route and somebody commented. So obviously all this news is helping them create new users.
Yeah, they're using AI now, and you can really tailor it. You put, I guess, what type of roads you're looking for. I don't know. I wonder if they incorporate it like I want roads near Waffle Houses. Yeah. Or In-N-Outs, or your favorite.
Well, you have to download the app and find out.
I can't wait to the driving season because I want to play with it and see what it's like. And I know PCA regions are always looking to for tour routes, so this should be very helpful. That if fellow Porsche owners give it a thumbs up, then it's worth trying.
Right.
All right. Anything else, Damon?
I think I'm good.
All right, so for us, even though the listeners will be hearing this after Emilio, I'm sure we're going to have a lot of stories. Ilko will be down there. Are you going to the Guardians of the Galaxy dinner?
What's that?
The Guardians of the... it has the longest title of a dinner. I think it's... What's it? The Guardians of the Mark?
It's Guardians
Winemakers dinner. It's...
I just call it the Guardians dinner.
I'm sure because I didn't get invited. It's a $400 a head dinner, and I've been there before. They give you 5 courses, I think. I just remember like 5 glasses of wine, and they would work your way down. My wife used to love coming because even though she doesn't drink a whole lot of wine, she liked that pairing, and she would tell me never to turn away to wine because I'm not a wine drinker. And, I was driving home that event all the time because after the 3rd glass of wine, there was no way she was going to get behind a wheel. But great food, most of all, great people because it's all Porsche. So they always had an interesting guest speaker, and the whole room was filled with Porsche people. But I guess you're not going, Ilko, either.
No,
so
not this time.
We'll be at the PCA staff dinner probably.
Yep.
So, anyways, hopefully we'll come with a lot of photographs, a lot of stories, and whatnot about our adventures. Yep. So let's close this podcast out. Drew was probably very nervous in his office right now. I'm on the phone about what we're talking about. Let's see. Thanks for listening. If you're a current PCA member and own a Porsche, what are you waiting for? Be sure to have your VIN handy. And those of you who don't currently own a Porsche, check out the test drive program. Just go to www.pca.org, pca.org, and you'll see all the sign-up info. Remember to follow our podcast Instagram page to see behind-the-scenes photos and videos. Porsche Club Insider, all one word. You can send us an email or message us at podcast@pca.org. or simply comment on our YouTube podcast video. Until then, stay safe, and we'll catch you on the road.